It's not a secret that Star Wars is one of the biggest IPs that originated from a movie. Over 47 years, this franchise has reached heights few others have. I was never a big Star Wars fan. When the first 3 movies came out, I wasn't even born yet. And the sequence of the movies was confusing to me. Who stars their first movie with episode 4? What happened to the first 3? Did I miss something? This question was answered in my childhood with the 1999 release of episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This movie introduced me to this world. Yes, it might have been poorly rated at that time, but I liked it as a kid, with no preconceived notions about the film. I was about 13 back then, and during a class trip to the bigger city, we went to see this highly anticipated movie. Glowing swords, mystical powers, people flying and fighting each other. It's no secret that this movie to the 13-year-old me was a mind-blowing experience. Although the movie disappointed the older generation eagerly waiting for a new film, but it introduced Star Wars to a new one. From that day on, I wanted to become a Jedi warrior and have a lightsaber. This dream desire was fulfilled by a game, Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. My friend and I would eagerly wait for the game to install while staring at the box. But unfortunately, my computer at that time did not have enough power to play it. It would start, but despite my attempts to tolerate very low frame rates, I ultimately waited 30 minutes for the first cutscene to finish, which was too much even for me, the guy who played driver with 10 FPS. Clearly we were both disappointed, but my uncle came to the rescue. He had a better computer at home, a Pentium 3, which had enough power to run it. Seeing how important this game was for me, my dad secretly added more RAM to my computer, upgrading it from 12 megabytes to 32, and he did not tell me that. When I wasn't at my uncle's, I would always look at the game icons and imagine playing it. Since I could only be at my uncle's for a limited time because he lived far away from us, so my itch for Star Wars never fully got scratched. Jedi Outcast had 2 icons, single player and multiplayer. These were the times when the game had 2 different games. The multiplayer was completely different program. Since I didn't have an internet then, I only tried playing single player. And in the game you don't get powers and lightsabers for a long time, which I did not know that, so my dream remained unfulfilled. But one day, while exploring the game folder, I decided to double click on multiplayer icon. When I started the game, I immediately noticed that the game is running much better. It was a bit suspicious that the game menu didn't lag and music played smoothly, not like before, chopping and cracking. To be honest, everything worked very nicely. I saw that you could play multiplayer alone. When you're a host, you can add bots with different difficulty levels. I started the game and I was alone on the map, but the game was playable. That's what mattered. It wasn't 30 nor 60 FPS, but it was playable, not like before. On the multiplayer, I saw that you could have all the powers available at start. It felt to me like I have opened Pandora's box. I couldn't understand why this mode worked better than the single player, but who cares? Here you could be a Jedi warrior from the start, running on walls, throwing lightsabers, using all the main force powers, jumping from one building to another, doing all kind of acrobatic shit. Then I managed to add few bots. And of course, game performance suffered. But with only 1 or 2 bots, I was still able to play normally. And so I spent thousands of hours playing that game this way. I imagined my own scenarios, recreated movie scenes. I would walk with the lightsaber off and only turn it on when I saw an enemy. I played like this until we got new computer and internet. Then the whole world of this game truly opened up for me. Right away I can say this game is the best Star Wars game, period. You won't find any other game that is better recreated Jedi fights with the lightsabers and their force powers. Well, maybe except for this game's sequel, Jedi Academy, which improved everything that was already great about this game. The opening sequence is just like the movies. You see the scrolling text and the music playing. This game is truly feel like another episode in the movie series. The story follows the adventures of Kyle Katarn. Actually, this game is fourth installment in this series. Cannot say anything about the last two games because I never played it. So Kyle used to be a Jedi, which means he could use the Force and wield the lightsaber. But I don't think you need an explanation what the Force and Jedis are. If you're watching this video, you already know. However, Kyle gave up on being a Jedi because he feared he might fall to the dark side. At the beginning of the game, Kyle is working as a mercenary, someone who fights for money rather than a cause. He is partnered with his friend Jana Ors. They go on a mission to investigate an old Imperial base. The Empire, which was the main antagonist trying to control the galaxy, has been defeated. Upon arriving at the base, they discover a new threat, a dark Jedi named Desan. Desan captures Jan and injures her, which devastates Kyle and prompts him to return to the Jedi path to stop Desan. Kyle travels to the ancient Jedi temple on the planet Yavin 4, where he meets Luke Skywalker, a legendary Jedi hero from the Star Wars saga. Luke agrees to help Kyle retrain as a Jedi. Kyle retrieves his old lightsaber and relearns how to use the Force. With his skill restored, Kyle sets out to stop the sun and rescue Jan. Kyle's journey takes him to the various planets, where he battles stormtroopers, remains of Empire soldiers and other dark Jedi. As he progresses, he uncovers more about Desan's sinister plan. He aims to create an army of dark Jedi to conquer the galaxy. Kyle learns that Desan is using Valley of the Jedi, a location with immersive force energy, to empower his dark Jedi followers. Realizing the threat, Kyle knows he must stop Desan before he amasses a formidable army. In the climactic final battle, Kyle tracks Desan to the planet Yavin 4, where the Jedi temple is located. There Kyle confronts Desan in an epic lightsaber duel. Drawing upon his training and the principles of the Jedi, Kyle ultimately defeats Desan, throwing his plan and saving the galaxy from imminent peril. He successfully rescues Jan and they reunite, relieved and happy. Having reclaimed his identity as a Jedi, Kyle decides to continue his journey as a protector of peace in the galaxy, ready to face future challenges. The game features gameplay that blends action, puzzle solving and exploration. Players navigate various environments using intuitive controls that allow for walking, running, jumping and crouching. Combat plays a major role in the game, when players use a variety of weapons including blasters and thermal detonators. However, the most iconic weapon is the lightsaber, which can be used for both attacking enemies and blocking incoming shots. I remember doing just that, standing and blocking all the incoming shots from the enemies, feeling like some sort of overpowered Jedi, pretending that I'm humiliating all the enemies that are shooting at me. As the game progresses, Kyle learns new lightsaber techniques, making combat more dynamic. At first you only have the light attack. Later on you learn medium attack and then heavy attack. Light attack is just that, very fast light attacks. Medium attack has more power but a little bit slower, and heavy attack has much more power but way slower. It depends in which direction you're running, your attacks will be different. These all the features made the combat very unique and very satisfying to perform and finally hit someone with one of those attacks. The Force is integral to gameplay, offering several powers such as Force Push, Force Pull, Force Speed, Force Heal and several more. In the main game, players can upgrade these powers to enhance their effectiveness. For example, level 1 jump only lets you to jump very short distance, and when you upgraded it, you can jump to very high places, basically flying. Puzzles in the game often requires using the Force to move objects, activate switches, uncover hidden paths, necessary strategic thinking and good grasp of Kyle's abilities. Exploration is essential as a player travels to different planets and unique locations. In addition to the single-player campaign, the game includes multiplayer mode. Players can compete in various game types like deathmatch and capture the flag, with a focus on lightsaber combat and force powers, creating a fast-paced and competitive experience. In this mode, I spent the most amount of time. After finishing campaign, I was set to play with players from all around the world and compete against each other. When you play a multiplayer, you can join a different type of game. Some games are just like a battle where everyone tries to be the last one standing. Others are about working together with your team to capture the enemy flag and bring it back to your base. No matter what type of game you play, the action is fast and thrilling. But I think the best part of the multiplayer is the lightsaber duels. Fighting with the lightsaber is a big part of what makes this game so special. There is a special kind of respect and etiquette amongst those players during these duels. When you challenge someone to a duel, you often bow to show respect before starting the fight. During the duels, you try to outsmart your opponent with your moves and force powers. It feels like being a real Jedi. Back in the 2000s, players used chat program called MIRC. We called it just MIRC, which stands for Multi-Internet Relay Chat, to talk to each other. Basically, it was a Discord of its time. But you could only send text messages because voice was way too heavy for the slow internet back then. In IRC there was a special channel where players would gather together and arrange games and tournaments. I remember being a part of a small community there. We would talk about the game, share tips, set up matches. It felt like being a part of a big group of friends, even though we were from all over the world. We would decide the time and everyone would join the game to compete. These tournaments were always exciting because you got to see who was the best among us. Sometimes we would have some sort of prizes for the winners, like upgrade for the members on the RC channel. You would get this weird symbol near your name and everyone would know that you are no joke on this game. Playing in these multiplayer battles help us to get better at the game. We learn from each other and improve our skills. The community was very supportive and it was great to have friends who share the same passion for the game. We would spend hours practicing our lightsaber moves and force powers to become the best Jedi we could be. Some members pretend to be mentors and teach the ones that are new. Even after so many years, this is still a fun game to play. The multiplayer mode is still active, with many players continuing to enjoy the battle and duels. The game has stood the test of time because of its unique combat system and the strong community of players. Today there are still groups of players who organize matches and tournaments, just like we did back in the IRC days. Now they might use modern chat programs like Discord, but the spirit of the community is the same. They share tips, arrange battles and compete in friendly tournaments. And I have no doubt that there is a Discord channel with the same community doing the same thing as we were back in 2000s. The game's lasting appeal comes from its deep, engaging combat system. The lightsaber duels are always exciting, and using the force powers in creative ways keeps the gameplay fresh. Players continue to find new strategies and techniques, which keeps the game interesting even after so many years. For me, playing this game in multiplayer mode was one of the best gaming experiences I ever had. The thrill of the battle, the camaraderie of the community, and the excitement of the tournament made it special. It wasn't just about winning or losing, but about having fun and being a part of a group that loves the game as much as I do. Even now, when I think about those days on IRC and the epic lightsaber duels, it brings back memories. It's amazing to see that the game is still going strong, with new players discovering its magic and old players returning. Relive the excitement. The development of this game was a big project, and it involved a lot of work and creativity. The game was developed by Raven Software, a studio that is well known for making great action games. Raven Software used a game engine called ID Tech 3, the same engine that was also used for another famous game called Quake 3 Arena. Quake 3 is well known for its fast-paced action, impressive graphics for the time. ID Tech 3 engine was well suited for modifications, so game developers did not need to modify the engine a lot to suit them. One of the biggest challenges in making Jedi Outcast was getting the lightsabers combat just right. The lightsabers are a huge part of Star Wars universe, and fans have high expectations for how they should look and feel. The developers wanted the lightsaber battles to be exciting and realistic, just like in the movies. They spent a lot of time working on lightsaber mechanics to make sure that players could swing their lightsabers in different ways and have thrilling duels. Another challenge was incorporating Force powers into the game. The Force is what makes the Jedi special. The developers had to figure it out how to make these powers fun to use and especially not be overpowered or hard to use. Raven Software is also known for making another great game before Jedi Outcast. They created the games like Heretic and Hexen, which are fantasy-themed action games with magic and monsters. I did not play those games because they were before my time, but what I heard from them, that they are pretty good games. The developers did not fully expect the game to be successful as it became. They knew that they were making a good game, but they were pleasantly surprised by how much fans loved it. The game received a lot of positive reviews and became very popular. Players praised the exciting lightsaber combat, the use of Force powers, and the engaging story. The success of Jedi Outcast helped solidify Raven Software's reputation as a top game developer. The game was well received and it led to creation of a sequel, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, which also became very popular. The success of these games showed that Raven Software could create a compelling Star Wars experience. Jedi Outcast is a game that does an amazing job for making you feel like a part of Star Wars universe, and a big part of that is music and sound. Just like in the movies, the game audio is powerful and memorable, helping to bring the story and action to life. The music in the game is very true to the films. When you play, you hear the music that feels like it came straight from the Star Wars movie. The game used many of the famous themes composed by John Williams, the legendary composer behind the music of Star Wars saga. These familiar tunes played during the important moments in the game makes those moments feel even more epic and exciting. The sounds in the game are just impressive as the music. Every time you swing your lightsaber, it makes that iconic humming and swooshing sound that fans of Star Wars know so well. When lightsabers clash, you hear that familiar crackle and buzz, which makes the fights feel so exciting. These sounds are taken directly from the movies, so they sound just right. The blaster shots in the game also sound exactly as they're in the films. Whether you firing a blaster or hearing enemies shout at you, the sounds are crispy and authentic. Voice acting in the game is another highlight. The characters speak with their voices that matches their personality, making the story more engaging. Kyle Katarn, the main character, has a strong and determined voice that fits his role as a former Jedi very well. Other characters like Luke Skywalker don't sound as they are from the movies because the voice actor isn't the same. It's a mystery why Mark Hamill couldn't be in the role, when previous Raven Software game Soldier of Fortune used him as one of voice actors. Anyway, voice acting for the game is very good. You can hear the emotions in their voice, whether they're happy, angry or sad. In the world of gaming, audio is often just as important as visuals in creating an immersed experience. The game's success was a pleasant surprise for its developers, who did not fully expect it to become as beloved as it did, yet its impact was undeniable. Jedi Outcast became a cornerstone of the Star Wars gaming world, praised for its engaging story, dynamic combat, and immersive sound and music. Even today, the game remains a favorite among players. Its legacy lives on, and new generation of gamers continue to discover its magic. This game single-handedly made me fall in love with Star Wars community. It wasn't just a game, it was a place where fans could come together, share their love for Star Wars and create lasting friendships. The game impact of my life and my love for Star Wars is something I will always treasure. As we look back on this incredible game, we remember not just the adventures of Kyle Katarn, but the friendships and the sense of belonging it brought to so many of us. It will always hold a special place in my heart. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this retrospective of Jedi Outcast. Please like the video and don't forget to subscribe. See you another time.